What is going on, guys? Welcome to HomeCraft cocktails you can make from the cup of your home. My name is Briss, and as most of you may know, I had to take a week off last week as I was intensely studying for my SHRM CP HR certification exam. I am happy to say that my studying paid off and I passed my exam. Hercules. So that is definitely a good feeling for sure. I'm very proud of my achievement. Hate to not have put out a video last week, but I think it was well worth it. Thank you for all my friends, obviously, and family that cheered for me throughout that process. But now we are back, and we are better than ever. And this week we'll be going over one of the more simpler cocktails you will ever make, the Gin and Tonic. So the Gin and Tonic actually came to fruition sometime in the mid-1800s, but it has some peculiar history leading up to that point. So back in the 17th century, juniper, which is a botanical, was believed to have medical properties, and it was distilled with spirits in order to create Genever. So Genever is the predecessor to the gin that we know of today in modern times, and the word Genever is actually also Dutch for juniper, which is obviously the main ingredient in gin. So sometime during the 17th century, British soldiers who were fighting against the Dutch actually had came across Genever, and they basically just decided to steal it and take it back home to England. And almost immediately following that, gin would become immensely popular in England. So much so to the point that 1/4 of all households in London would have people making their own gin inside of their homes. So fast forward to 1857, where the British would take control of India. And India, being a warmer, more tropical climate, is a prime breeding ground for mosquitoes. And as we all know, with mosquitoes comes malaria, which was and is still to this day one of the most life-threatening diseases ever known to mankind. So, given this immense threat of malaria, British soldiers would come to learn that quinine, which is a drug extracted from cinchona trees, actually can treat malaria. This unique discovery was made by a Scottish doctor by the name of George Cleghorn back in the 1700s. So the British soldiers took this quinine, made it into a tonic by adding water and a sweetener to it. To sharpen the taste further, they added their country's favorite liquor to it, gin, in order to create not only a medicine that would help treat their malaria, but also just a great tasting, simple drink. To this day, the Gin and Tonic is arguably the most popular 2-ingredient cocktail of all time, and also might be the only cocktail where its name is literally just the ingredients that make the drink up. So with that brief history lesson out of the way, let's get down to actually making the drink. So obviously with the Gin and Tonic, it's very simple. You have basically 2 ingredients, but first, before that, you're going to start off by filling your Collins glass with ice. After your ice, then you want to pour 2 ounces of gin into your Collins glass. So after that, then you'll top your glass off with 4 ounces of tonic water. You can really use any tonic water, but today I'll be using Fever Tree Premium Indian tonic water. I've heard really good things about this tonic water, so I definitely want to use a more premium tonic water for this video. Okay, I thought this was a twist off, but maybe not. I think it might be a... Yeah, this is not a twist off. Okay. There we go. After tonic water, then you'll want to just give it a gentle stir. And for the garnish, you just want to do 2 lime wheels. And you want to place the lime wheels actually inside of the drink. So you'll put one in like that. Put the other one on the other side. You can use the bar spoon to kind of push them down. So the lime wheels will actually, more than just give it a different aesthetic, will also slightly change the taste by giving it just enough of that kind of citrus little subtaste in there. Finally, you put a straw in there, and there you have a gin and tonic. So now that we have our drink, let's give it a taste. Okay. So I'm gonna be real with you. I've only had maybe 2 gin and tonics before this one. This was my first one trying it with the Fever Tree. I think it definitely made a difference. I was never really a big fan of gin and tonics, and I still wouldn't quite consider myself a fan yet either, but there was a considerable difference in taste from trying it with the Fever Tree in comparison to Schweppes, or, I mean, really, that's the only thing I've tried thus far. So the funny thing about gin and tonics is that it's such a simple drink, being only 2 ingredients, but there are a plethora of ways that you can jimmy up the recipe to your liking, whether you use orange peels as a garnish, or lemon wedges, or like lime wheels like how I use today. Some people use bitters, some muddled fruit. I mean, you know, the opportunities are endless. And on top of that, you can also use different tonic waters and different gins. And even if you use the same gin and tonic water with somebody else, you can use different ratios. Literally all up to you. So, I mean, that can literally just be an entire separate video on its own about just doing 30, 40 different gin and tonic varieties. I will say this is not a beginner-friendly drink in most senses of the term, just for the fact that it's pretty gin heavy. You know, you don't have that many different flavors to, you know, combat the gin, and gin is already a juniper heavy spirit. But if you are someone who likes gin and tonics, by all means, please let me know in the comments, how do you make it? You know, what gins do you use? What tonics do you use? What garnishes do you use? And what ratios do you use? I really want to know. I want to learn. You know, I like appreciating different drinks to the utmost ability. Had to take one more sip, because that's actually not bad now that I'm sipping it. So, yeah, who knows, it might grow on me. With that being said, guys, thank you for watching this week's video, and I'll catch you next week for the next round. Peace.